So I mentioned in a previous video about, there's only been a few times where I've really broken down because something's so bad has happened. And this is another one. So this is a true story around a major global organization choosing not to pay their invoice because we were smaller than them. So we were signed up to this creative tenders website where we get an email notification on any tenders that came through that dealt with videography, photography, social media and stuff. And there was this one where we had to kind of come up with a full brand refresh for this new innovation around trains and the railway and stuff. So I went and pitched, found out that this company was Deloitte, the massive, one of the top 4 organizations, right? One of the big 4, sorry. And what I pitched and we won the deal. It was like 15K. And again, at that time, pre-pandemic, we're in the barn. That was massive. That was the biggest deal we'd ever won. We celebrated hard that night because we'd won such a massive deal with a huge global corporate. Like, it was a massive thing, right? Anyway, over the course of the next couple of months, it was a bit of a nightmare client, but there's always nightmare clients, right? It was like loads of changes, didn't know what they want, kind of know what they want, loads of different shoots. They were spending the money, so I was totally happy. It was totally fine. Then we kind of got to the very end of the project. We're like 5 minutes away from finishing, totally fine. We're sitting on the bar and I get this phone call from one of the guys at Deloitte, and I miss it. I step outside, ring him back, say, hey bud, what's up? We're almost ready to sign off. He's like, oh, just to let you know, we're not going to be paying the invoice. And I was like, yeah, buddy. He goes, no, seriously, we're just not going to pay the invoice. This is Deloitte on the phone, right? And I said, what do you mean when you're not going to pay the invoice? He goes, well, we're trying to save money on the project that we've got internally, and one of the ways of saving money is just not paying your invoice. I was like, what? How? Like that is the most immoral thing I've ever heard. Like, how can you get away with not paying an invoice? Like, I'll just take you to court. Like, surely you got to pay the invoice. And he was like, look, I'll be honest with you. Obviously, the cost for me, and me being Capco, to take Deloitte through the courts to try and get my invoice, it's like, he goes, how much money have you got to pay for that kind of stuff? Like, you'll run out of money way before, he goes, you might win, but you'll run out of money way before you get to a conclusion, so you're better off just accepting the fact that we're not going to pay the invoice. And that was it. And at that point, I just hung up the phone. I was absolutely shocked. I kind of stood there, again, I had this moment, I just stood there and I was like, I'm gobsmacked that this actually happened, that this major corporate not only decided to not pay their invoice, but because even when I threatened them to say we'd done all the work and they were totally happy with the work, they decided they weren't going to pay it. And to take the piss, to go out and go through the courts and say stuff like, it would cost you way more, you're small fry. It was just like this whole David and Goliath thing. Honestly, I was shocked. And for days, I almost was silent, and again, I kind of broke down to say, how am I now gonna, 15 grand, this is massive, this would pay wages for months, right? I just didn't know how I was gonna, again, get through all this. And in the end, I sent them a PDF, right? And I was like, look, I will be taking you to court. Like, absolutely, I will fight this, with every ounce of strength I possibly could. I wasn't going to, I didn't have the money, or I didn't have the mental capacity either. I wasn't going to do it. So then, anyway, I sent this PDF over to this guy, and in the end, they turned around and said, okay, cool, all right, fine, we'll pay 50%, take it or leave it. And I took it, I had to take it, and then I just had to walk away, if I was honest. I didn't bother going to the court. There was no point. I kind of just walked away from it all, and shocked really to say that I can't believe a massive organisation that people trust like that said to me that they weren't going to pay the invoice and they didn't care where we were going to take them through courts because they knew that they would lose, but it would cost me more money. Like, it was a shocking situation. Now I'd ask for 50% up front on any projects to kind of obviously mitigate that risk. But that was the true story of a major corporate, Deloitte, naming them right now, name and shame, deciding to not pay their invoice for absolutely no reason at all.
Wankers.
Wankers, absolute wankers.